started to use the chat function, which is great. And throughout it, please feel free to jot down any points, ask any questions, any comments at all. We'd be delighted with that. Now, under your screen, the black screen on the right-hand side, there's a little TV, and you probably won't see us there, but underneath it there's an audio button, and if you click the audio button, there are few enough of us that if we all click on that, you can contribute via the telephone that you're connected in with. So have a shot there. We'll just sort that out for you as well, and we'll see can we get people to contribute with the phone as well. This just might take us a second or two to click in because of the speed of our computer here. But we give it a shot. Now, one or two things. This is the first webinar that we've run for CAPA, so please forgive us if there's a little technical glitch here or there. And we've got Stephen here. Hi, Stephen McCullough. Stephen. No, I've seen your name somewhere. Oh, yeah, from Hanover. That's it, of course. Good morning. You're very welcome. Stephen from Hanover Trust. Okay, now, anybody like to say hello using the telephones, and let's see, does it work? Actually, can I just have somebody type in, can you actually hear me? Hello. Hello. Who's that on the telephone? Okay, let's not worry too much about the telephone impact. Let's get cracking.
Can you hear me? It's Dawn here.
Yep, Dawn, I can hear you. It's Alison Clyde here.
Oh, thanks, Alison. Thanks, Alison. Okay.
Thank you.
I presume then that other people can hear me as well.
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
That's good. That's great. Okay, Alison, and everybody else, Zoe, Stephen, and Dawn, and others, we'll get cracking with the program just now. Okay. Now, let's see. Shona is here with me as well. Shona, you want to say hello?
Good morning, everybody. I'm still here very quietly in the background, just letting Louise sort out some of the technical glitches that we're experiencing this morning. We're really excited about sharing what we've been doing so far with the CAPA project through this webinar. It should be fairly interesting. As Louise said, we haven't done it before, but CAPA is all about learning together and improving, so I'm sure this will be a PDSA by the end of the day. So let's get this show on the road.
Okay, thanks, Shona. Now, right, so just a reminder for yourselves, and that's the folk on the stakeholder group, that the purpose of the group is we've gathered together folk from a large variety of organisations, and it's really important that we let you know what's happening with CAPA, to share with you what's going on, and more importantly, what's the outcome of it. And the idea is that you will be able to share the information with your memberships and teams and partner organisations and so on. And also, of course, it's really important that we can take on board your suggestions and feed into development. As Shona was saying there, we're an improvement programme, and we're constantly trying to improve ourselves as we move forward with the programme. Okay, so that's just a reminder of the stakeholder group, and some of the members are here today. There are other folk from CCPS and Sport Scotland, ILIP. We've got a variety of different organisations who are also connected to the stakeholder group. The National Workforce Development Lead of Scottish Care, Stirling University and so on. But we'll be catching up with those other people at a later date. Okay, so moving on. Over to Shona, just to remind folk what on earth is CAPA? What's it all about?
Well, what is CAPA indeed? Well, CAPA, quite simply, is just moving more, encouraging people to move about a bit more often, more frequently, and in their own sphere of abilities. So where did CAPA come from? In 2014, Edith McIntosh and Bob Leventure from the British Heart Foundation, they collaborated together to develop a resource for care homes to encourage older adults who are living in the care home facilities to be more active and doing a little bit more every day for themselves and moving about more often. Now, obviously in Scotland, we're trying desperately to ensure that everybody's leading active lives, and that's starting with the schools, with active schools and workforce development to encourage the workforces to be more actively engaged in physical activity. And then the Scottish Government was looking at how we can support older adults to be more active, and they came across the CAPA resource. So in 2017 we got money from the Scottish Government to extend the project so that it was reaching out further and wider into all spheres of older people's care. Going too far ahead here. Technical. Marvellous. Let's try the right one. I do apologise. So the vision for the CAPA team is to make sure that older people who are living in Scotland, no matter where they are, have their voices and their choices and can be at the heart of the processes involving them. It should be person-led. They need to be socially connected with their own communities and their own paths and interests. They should have an opportunity to be more active every day and to have purpose and meaning added to their lives. Now that all seems quite simple, but when we've got a culture of care where older people move into care facilities and carers care for and carers do for because they're nurturing, they're caring, and that's why they want to be in the industry, is to look after people. But consequently, by being too kind, they do too much and they take away some of our independence. So CAPA is really about trying to turn the tides, and through that we're going to be working with a variety of people and places throughout this programme, which includes care homes, which the original park was designed for, the care at home companies and support services and day centres. We're also working with the Care Inspectorate Workforce team as well, the inspectors. We're making sure that they've got all the information that we're delivering at the learning events to the providers, so that when they're going out and doing inspections, that they're able to support people with best practice, share ideas that's working at other places. And it's all about networking and sharing these good practices wherever we are and wherever we come across them. And we're also working on a AHP module through one of the universities in Glasgow, which is very exciting. And Dawn is obviously very involved with Louise in that project. So that's very exciting. So CAPA is really about ensuring that we're addressing the significant challenge that we all face in what we've now created is a really dependent set of older people who have moved into the care facilities, and rather than maintain and sustain their abilities, we've made them more dependent on us, increased our workload, and now we need to turn the tide and make people understand that it's better for them and they can have a more meaningful life if they're able to do things for themselves. So, who's the CAPA team anyway?
Well, Sean and myself are here, definitely part of the CAPA team, and Chelsea's on the other end of the telephone as well, having in. So, Edith McIntosh is Head of Improvement Support here at the Care Inspectorate, leads the programme, and you can see Sean and myself, and under reporting to us we have a number of advisors who are fantastic people from a wide variety of backgrounds who are heading out and supporting the different services and the different staff with the tests of change and with the support in the programme. And we'll be talking a little bit about the approach we're taking, but that individual and on-site support from the advisors is absolutely crucial. And we also have Chelsea as our administrator and a communications person, coordinator, that's Sarah. And we're gathering in video footage and photographs and so on. Oh, I just saw your message there, John. Thank you. To make sure that we get the message out, because a big part of this is in terms of letting people see good examples, and that gives them ideas as to what else might be possible. Okay, and good morning, Anne. Very lovely to see you. Now there may be a slight echo here. I'm not too sure whether that's because of the audio. Alison, would you mind muting your audio? I think that's *1 will do that. That might help us. Thanks very much for that. Okay, and Anne from CHPO, you're very, very welcome. Okay, and thanks for that, Dawn, because of course Dawn and her team are doing the major part of the work with the Allied Health Professional module at Glasgow Caledonian University. We could maybe come back to that in a while. Oh, hello, Stephen. There's Stephen on the... That's great. This is an exciting event. People just keep popping up and everything. It's wonderful. Okay, now where are we working across the country? We've got different partnerships and work streams, and you may be connected with one of these. The blue ones are all the ones that Shona is taking a lead on, and the pink ones are the ones that myself, Louise, is leading on. And you can see that within each, depending on what the local authority has signed up for example, in East Ayrshire on the right, East Ayrshire have asked that we work with care homes, whereas in Aberdeenshire on the left, we're working in both care at home housing support and care homes. So it just depends on what folks signed up for. Okay, right. Now, okay, that's who we are and what we're about. And just a quick one as to how the whole thing works. I'm sure you're all very aware of improvement projects and improvement models, and we're following a particular improvement model from the IHI, Breakthrough Series, that's it. Couldn't get the last bit out. And basically, it makes a lot of sense. So what you're doing is you're gathering people together in Learning Event 1. We give them preparation activities before they came along to get them on board, to get them thinking, to get them ready to work. Gathered together, worked hard at finding out more. We'll come to that in the next slide, all about improvement processes and so on and so forth, and getting people energized and ready for action. They've headed out with their follow-up activities, and we bring them back again for Learning Event 2, which is at the end of this year in October, so all Learning Events 2. So between 1 and 2, people are putting into action their plans, they're trying things out, they're seeing how they work, they're puzzling things out and working together on that. And you can see the arrow which culminates in the national conference in September 2018. And this is where we'll not only be bringing our results, but also celebrating successes and bringing the information and ideas to a wider audience. Now, in between all of this, you have Dawn and her crew working with Joe Booth on a resource for learning for allied health professionals. And Dawn is getting that through the machinations of a university accreditation, and it'll pop out the other end and be ready in the semester after Christmas. So we're really looking forward to that, and it involves both an optional module for existing students and existing allied health professionals, and also an online resource. So it's fantastic. Okie doke. Right, so learning event, well, just to bring you up to date with what was happening in the first learning event, and I'll just do quick stats as to, we have them from across the country, and down in the green box at the end, you can see there were 459 people attended, as well as obviously people from the CAPA team, and also that included 19 care inspectorate staff and also 49 other people such as yourselves from fantastic local and national contacts in the different areas. Okay, so Shauna's going to take us through now as to what was actually happening within those events.
So learning event number one, it was really jam-packed, and we had to take some fairly dry subject matter and try and make it really inspiring and interesting. And given the feedback that we received from every single one of the 10 learning events we carried out, I think we achieved that. So the subjects we covered was a sort of brief overview of what is physical activity opposed to exercise, and that it's about day-to-day movement, getting up out of the chair, doing sit to stand, getting the participants throughout the day to be physically active and moving. So it wasn't an event where everybody was sat. It was moving about, doing sit to stand, standing on one leg for a challenge as well, which supports our colleagues in ALIP, and also it just made the whole day flow and was much more interesting than sitting and passively listening to people. We did a bit about CAPA in the background, where it came from, why it's important, and Scottish Government's funding of the project. We looked at the improvement approach that we were using, which Louise discussed earlier, using the IHI Breakthrough Series, which is using the PDSA, the Plan, Do, Study, Act approach, which is really quite simple, easy to follow. The documentation isn't complicated, so we thought that was the best plan, the best approach to use. We covered risks and challenges, looking at being less risk averse, taking more risks, not wrapping people up in cotton wool, examining what does risk mean, how do you manage your own risks at home, and if you didn't manage those risks, then you would never come out of your house. So it was kind of making it a bit of a laugh and a joke about it, but the seriousness is that by being too risk averse, we're not enabling people to live meaningful lives. And then in the afternoon session, we had a large section on action planning and putting the PDSA cycle into practice, which was coming from information that they brought with them on their self-assessment, which is to measure where they're starting from and then what areas they were identifying as areas to work on with the PDSA. And like I said, there was lots of movement, and there was lots of random things done, such as movement bingo, where we gave out cards to all delegates right at the beginning, and there were 25 different moves for each of the delegates to undertake, such as hopping, hugging, squeezing, reaching, twisting, and they had to achieve all 25 and then stand up with arms aloft and shout CAPA. So that was a bit of fun. So the whole day was around movement and fun, but also the serious part of learning together. So what we were trying to do was to look at where they are, where they're starting from, encourage them to see it as a whole home or a whole setting approach. Make sure that it's everybody's business. So it's a collaborative learning process, including everybody that works for the company, the families, the person experiencing care, and any other person that can be involved. So it's ensuring that everybody's on board and understanding the importance of trying to take the same approach while we're trying to improve practices and make people move about more and more often. So what's ideas that we came across? Well, there was a variety that came across on the days that we were doing the learning events and subsequently where the advisors are going out and they're supporting all of the providers that are taking part. So we've got some really good examples of some test change that's happening currently, such as using the stand-aids more effectively. We did have some queries about people who have limited mobility, are not as fit and active, and maybe can't get up and have a daily meander, for example. These people using the stand-aid can be easily encouraged to move whilst using their stand-aid. The stand-aid provides a method by which they can be aided to stand up, but that doesn't mean that they can't be actively engaging their muscles whilst this is being undertaken. It's about encouraging that person to sit themselves forward in the chair rather than the staff putting their hands behind their back and pulling them forward. Encourage them to put their own back and clip it onto the machine themselves if they can, lifting their own feet onto the foot plates. And whilst the machine is actively working and aiding them to stand up, encourage them to stand up really straight, push their weight through their heels, tighten their core muscles in their bottom, really stretch nice long muscles in their legs, stretch along the shoulders, hold their head up high, do some neck rotations to relieve some of the pressure and tension in the necks, and really feel all the muscles that are engaging in that process of using the stand-aid. Now, passively and previously, they would have just allowed the machine to lift them up from the chair onto the next place, which may be their wheelchair. But by using this approach, it encourages much more muscles to be engaged and makes them feel a whole lot better.
I was out at a daycare centre last week, and the staff, this is sort of more a whole setting thing. They introduced a scheduled walk for all staff and any users who were there who wanted to take part after tea and biscuits in the morning and after lunch. And the difference here was that the staff were getting involved. It wasn't just something that, they were encouraging users to go involved. And while I was there, it was lovely. The doors were thrown open and everybody went outside. So the staff and the folk were wandering about the garden. There were people plucking flowers. I saw one gentleman take a flower and bring it over to two of the women, and they sat down. They were having a good old blether and a laugh at one of the seats. And the staff were telling me that this is such a simple thing to do, and they're all enjoying it. Everybody feels energised. And when they come back indoors, they head off to whatever the next thing that they're involved with. But the users are now saying to the staff, "Oh, quick! Quick! We better go now because the rain is coming." They're keeping an eye on the weather. They're getting outside and so on. And two particular women have built up a particular friendship from this, and kind of wait for each other and chum each other around outside and have a sit on a seat and a good blether themselves. So a simple thing like that. It's not that everybody has to do it, but they're noticing that folk are more energised, they're doing things that they like. Most people like being outdoors, most people like having a blether with pals, and it's a sort of a different approach than your, daycare centre thing.
Another approach was when a care home member of staff, sorry, a care at home member of staff goes into a person's home, they quite often use a key safe to enable them access to the key so that they can go in through the front door. Now, if that individual is able to answer their own front door, then why are we using these keys to let ourselves in? Now, I know the answer is always due to time and time constraints and safety, but if that person living in that house knows that at 12 o'clock my carer comes to support me with my medication, then I can be making my way to that door, and that's encouraging that person to be a little bit more independent. So when the carer comes in to support the person experiencing care with their medication, we should be encouraging that person to go through to the kitchen or wherever the medication is, so that the carer can help that person dispense the medication and take it effectively, rather than being a task that that member of staff is undertaking and taking the medication to the individual. So it's just about looking at the tasks we're doing, breaking them down, and looking at how can we build movement into every aspect of that task.
Okay, we've been doing a lot of talking, and I don't know whether you guys want to type in some examples of, things that you've seen out and about where older people have been encouraged to be more active, where people have been listened to, and you've spotted opportunities for older people to take more control of their lives, to be more active, and in order to be able to do something more meaningful and so on. There may well be things that you'd like to share with the rest of the group, because you guys are steeped in this and have such a huge background in encouraging folk to move and to move more often. So it'd be nice to hear of a couple of things from yourselves. Just one more from me. Again, in the same daycare centre, they were saying that Mary was quite keen to be more independent, and when they had a look at it, they realised that the staff were disabling her. And it's interesting with the CAPA programme. I think it sometimes gives staff the opportunity just to stop and look around them. And that's one of the big messages, to stop and look around them and see what's possible. And with Mary, they realised that, when she was getting off the bus that brought her to the daycare centre, and she was in a wheelchair, and the staff would push her into the facility and push her into the tea room. And then they thought, oh, hang on a second, she already said she wants to be more independent, and yes, we're doing something that's not helping. So they had a chat with her, and now when she comes into the door of the facility, and she now is absolutely encouraged and given the time to get out of the wheelchair, and they've make sure there's a spot kept for her for this tea and biscuits thing in the first table inside the door. And Mary is, she's getting a little bit steadier on her feet. There's somebody there to help her and so on. And her long-term plan is she'll be able to come through and sit at a further away table and a further away, and that she'll be able to walk to the different activities within the programme. And at the moment she does get out into the garden with everybody else. She's heading out in a wheelchair, but she's, very focused on being able to get out herself. Ooh, so what do we have here? We've got some comments from Stephen. A new development in the north, and by watching the tenants, we've changed practice to allow greater movement in getting out, and these tenants have dementia. Fantastic. It's amazing when you look at people, when you can talk to people, you can see what's happening about how people can be supported to move more. Particularly, a lot of people with dementias, are very keen to move. The intergenerational work. Ooh, yes, I think we've all had a look at that TV program as well.
There's quite a few care homes and day centres that are investigating, if they haven't already started this. I remember working in a care home similar to Dawn many years ago, and we invited the nursery to come across every week, and as far as I'm aware, that's still happening. They've still got that connection with the nursery and building up relationships between the nursery and the care facility, so that's excellent. Yeah. I do think it's a fantastic opportunity to bring older adults and younger people together, because we saw from the television programme on Channel 4, and if you haven't had the opportunity to watch it, please take Alison's link there and have a look at it. It really is fantastic, and we really need to have more of these stories. But through CAPA, you know, it has stimulated some of the providers to start looking actively at how this can be included.
So we're getting back fabulous individual stories for people as to what makes a difference, and when our IT skills improve, next time around we'll be able to embed some videos here to show you some good practice. Yes, and Dawn, that great comment there about leadership and small environment changes. All the time we're saying to the staff, start with where you're at and what can you do right now for one person to improve that person's quality of life, through really listening to them, seeing what's important to them, and helping people to be more active. And we had one staff member saying to me that when she came to the programme, she thought, well, this is all very well, but in good faith she went out and started putting some plans into action. She said the difference it's made to people in terms of the laughter, the connections, the brightness, that it's making huge change to people. And she's now getting all the other staff on board. So just a reminder about the different areas that we're focusing in on. Sean had already spoken about voices and choices, the top one in the green bubble there. And I think we keep coming back to that because it's what people are interested in, what makes sense to them, and so on. That will make a huge difference. That is everybody's business. And the community connections, just like what Stephen and Alison were saying there about the nurseries and intergenerational work, it's looking outside your own facility or service or whatever it is, and seeing, well, most people, you know, older people, they've lived a life, rich lives where they've, you know, run families, they've worked and so on and so forth, and what's outside your facility to connect up with what people are really interested in. And families, friends are so keen to assist in this. And then, of course, the culture. This particular blue one says care home culture, but it's actually service culture. What's the culture like in your facility? And Stephen, you've just said that your aim is to remove fixed boundaries. So you know, you've got you're enabling those environments, and you're taking leadership in that. Yeah, isn't it so funny? So-called wandering. I mean, I'm a great one for walking, and you know, when I'm a bit older or whatever, if somebody was talking to me about me wandering about, I'm thinking, like, you know, I'm quite purposeful what I'm doing. I'm just, you know, heading here and heading there. So yeah, absolutely, that it's. I would be one of those people who would be so important to move all the time. Oh, and here's Donna from Care Home Bannockburn. Oh, lovely. Yes, and that whole thing about giving people a job. We have a lovely story about somebody else. Now he's living in a care home, and again, somebody who was quite agitated and wanted something to do. And one of the staff members looked at him one evening and thought, well, I'm going out to there's some sort of dumpster that she brings stuff out to. So she asked, I think his name was Stephen actually, I think, would he like to come out? And he said he would. So he came out with her and helped her do the job that needed done. And from that, fast forwarding a little bit, he puts on a high-vis jacket, as she does, and it's his job, and he does it every evening, and he's so happier in what he does. He's got something meaningful to do. He's part of the home. He's contributing to it, as all of us want to do. So that's absolutely lovely example there from John as well. Okay. What do we have next? Obviously, the program is about getting staff to get ideas about how to. Oops, hopped along. We're almost at the end. The program is about helping staff to think about how can they promote movement in their own lives, and how can they do that both professionally and personally. So I don't know whether people would like to comment about in your own life at the moment. Is there, you know, let's be friends. What is it that you do yourself to keep moving personally, for yourself, for your families, or whatever? And is there anything in particular professionally that you do at work as part of your work, or maybe your staff team? It'd be nice to hear some. Oh, thanks for that, Zoe. Ooh. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, we keep saying to the staff, don't try to invent it yourself. There's always somebody out there. You know, if you come across somebody who's in a care home who's interested in, I don't know, scalextrics, there's sure to be somebody out in the community who's also interested. Or if you're interested in supporting walks, as Zoe is saying, they have community health work projects who are also interested. Fantastic, Killian. Strength and balance. Isn't that great? Strength and balance during walks. That's super.
And obviously that's going to help towards reducing falls. Now, CAPA's not really designed to be a falls prevention tool, but obviously if we're encouraging people to move with confidence, move more often, they're going to be building up some degree of muscle mass. And, you know, maybe if they are encouraged to move more often, they've got that confidence. If they do have a little stumble, they've got the confidence and the physical ability to right themselves. So that's fantastic if they can build in strength and balance, because older people up into the 90s can still build muscle. So it shouldn't be a restricting factor. I'm a care home manager to trade, and in the care home that I was working in latterly, we were just, as I was kind of going out the door, employing a personal trainer to come in and work with our older people, and we were going to develop a space for the gym equipment, you know, just low-tech gym equipment for older people to use, but also for the staff to use, because it's important that we support our staff to be fit and happy and healthy, because a fit, happy, healthy workforce is a workforce that's going to sustain and maintain their employment with you long into the future, and that's what we're desperately needing.
Oh yeah, there's Dawn, as a goes to the university. Yes, I have had experience of this, because Dawn, I think the first meeting we had, I think it must have been over 2 hours, and we were standing for all of it. So I wasn't given the opportunity to sit down. There was a standing meeting, which was great. I really appreciated it. But I was laughing afterwards. And for most of us, when we get up and we walk about, we're more energized, as I was saying, more up for the work and so on. So yeah, it's putting it all into action. Anybody else got anything they do at work? We've had a couple of standing meetings.
Yeah, we've had walking meetings as well, which is quite commonplace. If you can have a discussion with somebody sitting on your bottom in an office looking out the window, why not take that step and go outside and have a walking meeting around the town or into the country, because you feel so much more energized if you're able to do that. But yeah, standing meetings is a great thing to do. You know, if you can be standing up, you're obviously burning more calories, which is always good for the waistline too.
Okay. Right. Okay, and we're just with a little, it sounds like a plea, but it's a very much open-hearted invitation to say, do please come along to Learning Event 2. We will be able to give you a list of where they are and the dates, because they're all set now. And there may be you or other people within your organisation who would like to attend particularly local ones. And we would be delighted to have you there. And if there are also ways that we can connect up with you in between times, as I think Anne was saying there, absolutely, ways to connect in with local people in the different areas that we're working in. I know, Stephen, you asked for that slide. I think that would be a useful one to send out to everybody, because when you know we're working in a particular local authority area, there may well be local workers and that you'd like to connect up with us. Oh, and Stephen, you have an annual step challenge. Yeah, actually, yeah, that was one of the first things I got involved with when I came into the care inspectors. And I'd just like to let you all know that our team had the greatest average number per participant.
Well done. Well
From the Edinburgh
so you
team.
should support the CAPA team. I would expect that.
Okay. Right. Comments, questions, ideas, anything that you'd like to share with us at this moment?
Oh, great to see Zoe's doing some networking there. She's putting out the path for all contacts receiving to find who the development officers are in your area. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. It's just making connections and working together collaboratively so that we can improve the lives of the older adults that are experiencing our care, but also looking after each other professionally and trying to make life just a little bit easier, because this industry is pretty tough. So if we can help each other, then that's fantastic.
Oh, thanks for those top tips where you can access that via Dawn's website there. Ooh, look at this. Yeah, do you know what's interesting is since I've taken up this job, and I'm sure you felt the same, Shona, whenever you talk to people, I mean, I talk to people on trains and buses and when I'm out and about, and there isn't one person who isn't interested in the topic. I think it's something that's close to the nation's heart in terms of all of us as we get older, being independent, being active, being able to do what we want to do. It's so important for the people who are older just now. It's so important for all of us. It's so important for Scotland. So it's a really, really interesting topic. Ooh. Thanks, Alison, for that. Super. And we look forward, Stephen, to the contacts with yourself and with Hanover.
So thank you very much for your time and your attendance, and we do apologise most sincerely for the technical glitches, but that's part of the improvement process. We will make sure that we learn from this experience and we're able to provide a better webinar next time. I do hope you're able to come along to the learning events, and if you could get in touch with Chelsea, she'll be able to tell you which area, what time and whereabouts. We are scheduled them for October, November kind of time. So we look forward to seeing you, your colleagues and anybody else that you feel would benefit from coming to these learning events. The learning events will be a celebration of success, looking at the stories that have touched our hearts and have made a real difference to these older adults that we're working with. So please let us know if you have any suggestions of who to invite, because we really want to have a bigger community engagement at this next 2 learning events. So please let Chelsea know anybody that you want to add to that list.
And as we progress with the programme, including the CPD online programme for staff and carers that Dawn's developing as well, we will be coming back to you and suggesting that folks sign up to that because of your extensive networks and so on. I'm sure there'll be lots of different people who will be interested in that. So we'll just leave this open for a few minutes in case there's any more items that you want to type in or anything that you want to take down from the chat. And the recording of this will be available for anybody on the Care Inspector CAPA website. And we look forward to meeting you in person soon, and our next one whenever we schedule that. So all the best, everybody. Over and out from us.
Take care. Have a nice day.